What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to this next release video for Miracle WM. This will be release 0.9, and it is all about the new plugin system that we have cooked up for everybody. There's a whole lot to talk about. This plugin system gives you pluggable access to window management, configuration, and more. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So our plugin system is based entirely off of WebAssembly. For those of you who don't know, WebAssembly is a small bytecode language that you can really embed in anywhere that a WebAssembly bytecode engine is running. Most notably, it runs in your computer browser on the web, but it's very portable. It could run on small edge devices, and in this case, it's going to run in our compositor. WebAssembly gives us a couple of things that I think are very important. The first is language agnostic portability. So theoretically, you can write in any language you want, and so long as it can compile to WebAssembly and expose the right hooks for the plugin system to use, you can use that language. For starters, we're only going to, really support a Rust API, but if you're interested, you can easily write one in Go. You can write one in C, C++. I know Mscripten exists to do that. So this really doesn't limit us to one single scripting language, for example, right? We don't have to do Lua or JavaScript or something similar, right? The world is really our oyster when it comes to this. The second cool thing about using WebAssembly is that it is very fast, right? We don't have to ship like a very hardcore interpreter into the compositor that, goes and parses some untyped scripting language and tries to do all this crazy stuff at runtime. Instead, you have this little bytecode representation of what you want to run. In the bytecode engine, if you've ever seen WebAssembly engines, you can implement them in a pretty tiny way and get some good results out of it. For this reason, I thought it's really appropriate for like handling things like window management, right? You're going to be opening windows all of the time. And you don't want that to be a slow operation, right? You don't want to have to worry about parsing JavaScript in the middle of that. So choosing WebAssembly also gives us a lot of speed and whatnot. And finally, and definitely a very important thing, it's very sandbox. So the WebAssembly code theoretically only gets access to what we give it access to. It can't just arbitrarily read the memory of your programming of your running program. And it can't like just access your file system unless we explicitly give it access to do that. Which means that, it's running sandbox. You can feel safe running different plugins. I'm not sure if it's exactly perfectly sandbox at the moment, but it really only gets what we give it. So in that way, feels safe, should be safe. I should mention, what you see on screen is Wasm Edge. That is the runtime that we're embedding in Miracle. I've explored a few others. This one's packaged. It's pretty easy to use, so I decided to go with this in the end. So you might be wondering, well, how do I run these? What does the API look for this? And you could do that today by instructions and installing the Miracle plugin crate. There's like a little quick start here. I won't go into too much detail, but I will show you guys a bunch of plugins that I've been making and just to display the power of this. So if you're familiar with regular window management in Miracle, you know that it's a manual tiler, right? We have this, you can move things around, you could drop them out of there, blah, blah, blah. It's what you know and love. But imagine there was a way to dynamically do different types of window management, maybe on different workspaces, maybe at different times. Let your imagination go wild. So if I go over to workspace 6, which I have configured with the new Miri plugin, you'll see that suddenly this is a scrolling window manager. It's not perfect. It doesn't do everything that Miri does, certainly, but it is a decent start. And this is all written in with the help of that Rust plugin API that I mentioned earlier. So if I go to workspace 2, I actually have it up here just to show you what this looks like. this is, here, let's open lib.rs so you get a sense. This is the whole plugin, right? It's about like 350 lines. It handles all sorts of things. One of the cool parts about it is, now, sorry, I'm jumping ahead again to my Miracle configuration. One of the cool things about it is it even takes, it can take configuration options. So this is the Miracle config that you guys have seen a million times before if you use Miracle, or you're just seeing it for the first time. I don't know your life. And what you do to use a plugin is you specify it in the path. You specify the path that you want to use, and then you could provide any number of configuration arguments to it. In this case, we're providing inner gap and saying, hey, we only want it to be on workspace 6. So just to show you guys that this dynamically reloads and everything, let's set this inner gap to 10. I don't know. That seems like a reasonable thing. We could then reload the configuration using Meta Shift R. Go back to workspace 6 and look, tiny gaps. Oh, wow. That's very cool, right? So you could dynamically change, it could have its own dynamic configuration per plugin. And on top of that, the plugin itself also reloads dynamically. So let's take a look at what that might look like. Maybe with a stupid example. So let me remove the windows here just so nothing gets weird. But let's say the effective height, I think this rect for index is when we calculate the rectangle that the window is going to take up. So let's see if we could do something as simple as this. I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see. Let's cargo build that. What are you mad about? Okay, I wrote the wrong thing. Sorry. So we cargo built that. Again, we'll refresh the configuration. And now everything's half height, right? Okay, things are a little messed up at the bottom, but you can see everything's half height. It still works the same. And it looks nice. That's it. Oh my gosh, look, we wrote our first plugin. That's pretty cool. So that's really neat. The even cooler part, in my opinion, is that you can have different window management schemes per workspace if you want. So over here, I wrote some other weird thing, which I call Miracle Focus Mode, that at the moment, if I go to my Miracle config, only applies to workspace 7. So if I go to workspace 7 and I start opening things, we have this weird window manager that I just created. So I do control, maybe I'm not like making it obvious here, but if I do, I open up Jedit here, but if I made it so if I do control 1, it'll select the first window there and it'll animate in and out, and 3 and 4 and 5 and so on. And this was like this, sorry, I'm just gushing over this plugin system. But if we go in here, you see like what I wrote here is pretty tame, right? We're handling, I don't know, we're listening on certain events from the, let's scroll. Let's see what a plugin looks like. We're listening on certain events from the windowing system, like place new window. Oh, a window got focused. A window got deleted. The workspace area changed. A window changed its workspace. Keyboard input came, and so on and so forth. There's all these little hooks that you could get in on and provide your own data back to the plugin system, which I think is really neat. So yeah, I rambled, but that's it for window management. It's so cool. And it dynamically loads. You don't have to hop out of the session to go do window management. It's super fast. It feels nice. You could rest assured that like it's going to be performant code if you compile it with WebAssembly. Yeah, that's it for window management. Now, one thing I didn't show here that I should have, but I just don't have a plugin ready for it. So whatever, I'll just tell you about it. You can also create a dynamic tiler with this too. So if I go up to place new window, you'll see right here we're returning a freestyle placement, but there's also a tiled placement. So if you want to create your own dynamic tiler with the window management system, you can do that here, which I think is pretty neat as well. But like I said, I don't have an example, but maybe you could write an example if that's something that you're into. But I did not just stop with window management. I want this plugin system to be able to take care of pretty much every aspect of Miracle. And one of the big aspects, I think, is the animation system. So you'll see here, so this is my personal configuration plugin. It's called Matt's Config. You can see it in my dot files if you go to my GitHub profile or whatever. And the cool part about this is I override the window open and the window close animation. So what you're seeing, if you've been looking a little bit, is now my things slide in. They slide in, which looks very nice, and they slide out. And again, like, you can really make this your own. There's a bunch of different animations that you can hook in, window close, open, move, and stuff like that. And just like before, these things, they like actually run, they dynamically reload, as you would expect. So, gosh, I should look for, okay, here. Let's, for example, change the time it takes to run it. So instead of running for 1/4 of a second, we'll run for 2 seconds. And then we'll cargo build, let's cargo build that. Yay, we got a build. So if I reload and then I open up a new window, you'll see it slides in super slow. And all we had to do was change some variables in the code. And just like the other configuration, this could take, you know, that time could have easily been a variable or something like that. But I didn't even stop there. I went one step further. And this step is, this is probably the more controversial of the two. You know, window management, animations, everybody wants to do that in code. But the one thing that I really want to do in code is configure. You know, this is how it looks right now, right? This is how the Miracle config always looked, right? It's a YAML file. You specify things in YAML. But I always find that after a while of configuring like this, I just want a programming language. I just want to declare variables. I want a for loop. Like, I don't want to do this whole song and dance where I'm like generating YAML or something. So what I've done instead is, you know, again, I'm declaring my plugin here with its path, and I'm loading that. And now I think that was workspace 3 or 4. And what happens is you could declare this configure, and you could return a partial configuration, like a full, or in my case, most of a configuration minus a few key details. And those are just so cool, right? So like, let's say you had a color scheme that you want to propagate to multiple clients or something, and you just want to declare the colors here. You could go declare the colors here, and you could be a happy little camper. You don't have to worry about like outputting them through some weird data pipeline, right? It's very neat. So what's an example, right? Like the border config, right? Here's my border, has a size 2, radius 4. Let's say I just ramp that up to 16, build that bad boy, and look, now we curved even more. Let's say I want that to be 8 because I'm weird, and I do that, and then I refresh, boom, now it's 8, it's thick. So it's a ton of cool stuff like this. I think it's really powerful. It makes the whole system feel really nice and alive. And yeah, move your configuration away from YAML. It's great in WebAssembly. We're just swimming over here. And that's pretty much it for the plugin system. Again, go try a plugin. It's fun. It really brings Miracle to a whole new level and really makes it a hackable, like a fully hackable window manager, which is really cool. One thing I need to call out though, there's a lot of other things that happened in this release that you could go and read about. For example, now the configuration doesn't auto reload. You have to do Meta Shift R to see the reload. But one of the big things is that we no longer use Linux input scan codes for keyboard shortcuts. We have migrated everything over to use XKB keysims. So that's a breaking change for your configuration. So please update that if you need to. Oh, and on top of this, we fixed a bunch of bugs. Like, for example, you should be able to like resize properly now and things like that, and that shouldn't break. You'll see a bunch of other stuff, like we're making smarter decisions about windows and placing them at the right position. It's always smart to place things at the right position. So generally the whole thing got faster, got better, and hopefully more pleasant to use. So that pretty much does it for this release. I will upload it to the PPA and the Snap shortly after this, as soon as I get around to it. I hate, you know how I hate uploading and package management. But I'll make sure to do that, and I'll have that ready for everybody. Go try it out. Go write a plugin. That'll be fun. Oh, look, wait, by the way, hold on. We also, someone contributed a new icon, which is cute. So the icon's nice. Yeah, it's nice. I think it even has a light mode. Whoa. It even has a light mode. Yeah, definitely. We're getting away from there. That was holy shit. All right. Have a good couple months before I see you again. Next up, I'm just going to keep figuring out this plugin system. I'm going to make it better and better. Hopefully it is awesome and we can make some cool plugins. I'll work on Miri. Oh, I didn't even mention that. Oh, I didn't even mention that. How funny. Hold on. How funny is that name? Oh, wait. Oh, shit, I'm not showing it. How funny is that name? Come on. That doesn't get to be a better play on words than Miri. That's hilarious. Anyway, I will talk to you all next time, and have a good evening. Sleep tight. Bye.